welcome back for another podcast. Idris from Just Another Night here, along with Curtis as usual.
Hello!
So, today we figured we'd talk about the recent updates that have been released by Apple.
Yes. I don't really know what they are, so Idris is leading this episode. But.
Yeah, so earlier this week, Apple basically had their event that they've gone and posted online, and it was essentially showcasing their new products for this year. Or I say this year, we're kind of coming to the end of the year, but basically the new products, as well as a couple of different new sort of innovations they've put into them.
You say.
Yeah. But yeah, it was quite interesting. So they kind of kicked it off with, well, earlier this year they released the Apple Watches. So they released Series 6. But what was kind of cool is that they've released an SE version.
Yeah, what does the SE actually stand for?
I have no clue.
Cool, makes sense.
I've never known, because like it's something they've done with the phones as well, didn't they?
Yeah.
Because I remember they did like a 5C version, which was like a subversion, and then after that it was like this SE, and now the SE 2020. So I feel like they're just meant to be like budget handsets.
Yeah, they're supposed to be similar technology, but with a smaller price range. So it's the same as the Apple Watch. The Apple Watch, the normal one's like £500.
Yeah.
And then the SE's £270. I think.
Roundabouts, it's about that much. But yeah, so it was quite interesting to see. So earlier, like I said, earlier this year they released the 6 as well as the new lineup SE. It wasn't really something I was that focused on though. I think the thing that clinched it for me was the stuff they released earlier this week, which was the new iPhones and the HomePod Mini. For those of you who probably don't already know what Apple HomePod is, it's their equivalent of like Amazon's is it Fire?
I thought it was Alexa.
Alexa, sorry.
Yeah.
Amazon Alexa and the Alexa Show.
It's basically having Siri sat in your living room.
Yeah, so it's like a speaker with all your sort of smart devices to control your house and whatnot. And it was quite funny because it kind of reminded me of the podcast we done when we were talking about like our houses and stuff.
Yeah, and Idris basically goes on in this podcast to say how much he would love to have an entirely smart-filled house.
Yes.
So everything is controlled from like a speaker. And I disagreed with it. I think it was a very, very silly idea. But if you want to hear that in more detail, make sure to go back and give that one a listen. I think it's like 6 episodes back at this point.
Yeah, it's quite a few episodes back now. But yeah, well, if you don't have time to give it a listen, you can always check out the highlights over on our YouTube channel as well. We always put them up there. But yeah, so with the HomePod Mini, basically they kind of upped their game this year. And they've kind of made it more smart, as stupid as that sounds.
More smarter?
Yeah.
Wouldn't it just be more smart? Like
more smart.
In English?
Everyone knows what I'm talking about. But so they added a couple of features such as like the Intercom. And that's basically meant to literally do as it says, it's an intercom. Which I thought was kind of cool because the way they demonstrated it, they had like the dad of the family in the car and it was the kid replying through the intercom at home. So it was kind of like voice memos without the need of like picking up your phone and all that kind of stuff.
I guess that is kind of cool. Like, I feel like they've already done stuff like that before.
Yeah.
Like with the Apple Watches, me and Idris have played around a little bit with the walkie-talkies.
With the radios,
So it's kind of a similar situation to that, just without having to wear it on your wrist.
Yeah, this kind of takes to a whole new level because it won't just send it to like, you know how the walkie-talkies are between watches?
Yeah.
This is done between phones, iPads, MacBooks and even the Home Mini device. So it's literally that, it's just an intercom, but I thought it was quite
Exercise-induced asthma is horrible.
The funny thing about it though is we went on holiday last year and he kept complaining about it and we went down south to Cornwall. Yeah, he was the first one to the top of any of the hills we climbed.
Right.
Or walked up.
Okay, this is true, but what he's forgetting to add into this little story is that I ran up these hills. And then the reason why I was the first there is because I needed to get to the top so I could lay on the grass and die. Because I was like out of breath, physically dying, didn't have an inhaler with me and was just there like, I can't do this.
Yeah, in all fairness, it was quite entertaining though.
Yeah. But that's the bit that he normally misses out of this story whenever he tells people. Because he's like, he's lying about it, it's not a real thing. It's definitely real.
It's not that, it's just how quick he managed to get to the top.
Yeah,
by the time we got there, it was just like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it's one of those things, like, if you walk up there slowly, it kind of, like, it hits me as we're walking, whereas if I'm just like, I'm just going to dart up, I'll run up, get to the top and be like, alright, I can die now. And then by the time everyone else has kind of caught me up, I'm okay again, ish. As long as I've got water. and preferably an inhaler.
Sort of
Yeah, it was weird.
thing.
It's like it was a trend that kind of just jumped.
Yeah.
Because if you remember what the trend was before, like, do you remember that?
Blackberries.
Blackberries.
Before that was the LG cookie flip phone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't talk about that. Though. that was a bad time. I actually didn't have one of those, you know.
Nor did I.
I did have a Blackberry. I had like 7.
Yeah, I had a Blackberry. I only had the one though.
Oh, I broke mine so many times. I had to keep buying new ones.
But then, did you have one with the trackpad or the little trackball?
I had both.
Oh,
The trackball was the one before the trackpad.
Yeah.
So I had the trackball, then I had the trackpad, and then I got the really fancy one, which was like a model up that had like the bordered outlines, and then I smashed that to pieces and had to buy one with the trackpad again, like one of the more basic ones.
Fair enough.
And then eventually I got an iPhone.
Yeah, so while everyone had like things like the LG cookie, I had this LG. It was a vertical flip.
A vertical flip?
So it would slide out and you'd have a whole keyboard.
Oh, I had one of those. Mine was in blue.
Yeah, so it was like a grey colour with like a blue border on it.
Yeah, it's crap. It was such a bad phone.
Yeah, definitely. So and it had like a really rubbish touch screen to it that didn't really work.
Yeah, it was awful. I had loads of like really weird phones.
Yeah.
I had this, I can't even remember what it was. I think it was some form of Nokia. It was like a tiny little brick thing.
Yeah.
And I used that for about 2 years. Like, my BlackBerry broke, and I got that phone, and I could text so quickly on it, bearing in mind it didn't have like an actual keyboard. It was like the 3 buttons, click each one. And my texting on that was faster than on a BlackBerry. Like, honestly, I was rapid on it, and I don't think I changed that phone for like 2 years, because you could still get, I still had BBM on it.
Okay.
Yeah, it was weird. Or like some form of, there was some form of instant messaging service that I was using on it. And it was just a really awful phone, but it was so good. But I've got a really interesting story about that phone, and I'm going to say it because I feel like
we're on the topic of phones again.
Yeah, I don't know anything about Apple, so I'm just going to give you my own like personal anecdotes. So I had this mate called Sam, right, and he's the reason why I bought this phone, because he had the same one, and he was there like, this phone is honestly indestructible. Like, I've thrown it so many times, I've dropped it so many times, and it's just never going to break. We were walking down the road, right, and he was just like, yeah, nah, this phone's indestructible. This is after I'd already bought mine, and he just threw it in the air.
Oh no.
Smacked a tree, smacked one of those big green boxes that hold electrical wires, then plummeted onto the curb of the pavement. He picked it up, it was so dented, he could no longer put the power button in. So it was dead. Like, he had completely destroyed this phone, and he had it for 5 years, and he still managed to destroy it by just throwing it in the air.
Nicely done.
Yeah, but it was the fact that he was like, this phone's indestructible, it will never break. 4 seconds later, he absolutely destroyed it. And it wasn't until my 3rd year of uni that I bought my MacBook, I bought this microphone, and I was like, right, I actually want to try. I got an audio interface, and I was just kind of like playing around with editing music. And that's kind of how I learned how to use Final Cut Pro, and a lot of it was just because I wanted to edit music. I was mainly using it for myself. There's a couple of things on Soundcloud, but I would recommend listening to them because they are like absolute trash.
I feel like Soundcloud's become obsolete at this kind of point.
Yeah, it has.
A lot of people tend to just put straight onto Spotify or YouTube now.
The thing is, right, and this is what really annoys me, is I'm so proud of my last video that I posted on my main channel, because it took me about 7 hours, and I know that doesn't sound like a long time, considering people will spend like weeks and weeks on a video.
Yeah.
But every other video that I've done, you can ask Idris, take me 5 minutes.
Yeah.
It's literally, I just record myself singing a song, and I'm like, that'll do.
Yeah, snip off the ends and beginning, and
and then just put a little bit of talking in it, and put an intro, put an outro, done. Jobs are good. Like, literally, like 10 minutes of editing, 5 minutes of filming, and we're fine. This took me like 7 hours, because I filmed from 2 different angles. I made sure to record all the music as well. I edited all the music, and I'm not going to lie, that edit is sick.
It was. He brought it down to me after he'd done it. Like, I was still, because I worked from home, I was just working away. And he brought it in and showed me, was like, oh, let me know what you think of this. And I watched it, and I was like, you know what? This is done crazy well. And I thought it looked absolutely awesome, because normally you just see him strumming away while singing, whereas this, he kind of broke down the process, and it looked really good. And then it was like, okay, great, puts it up, and it was like, yeah, it's already taken down.
Yep, they claimed it. But the thing is it's still up there, but because it's got a claim on it, YouTube don't push it, and they're not like, yeah, everyone watch this. Like, I didn't even go out to a load of my subscribers, so it's got like 30 views. And
you know what?
It's sad.
I'm going to put a link in the description below. Just for this, the highlight video. Check it out, I'll put a link there. You can have a look. It's a good video.
It just makes me really sad. Like, I worked so hard on it and no one saw it. I was like, no.
No, you want to lead with this one because I know this is what you're excited to do.
Yeah. So, I'll admit that the main reason why we know this is because I watch a lot of YouTube. Idris doesn't watch as much YouTube as me, but I watch more YouTube than I watch TV.
Mm-hmm.
So YouTube is like my main platform. I watch a lot of YouTubers, and a few of them that I watch are tech reviewers. And one special one, Review TakeUSA. If you haven't heard of him already, I'd recommend giving him a look because he's genuinely hilarious.
Yeah,
like,
he is.
I mainly watch him because he's funny. Like, I don't even care about the technology, as I've said like multiple times.
It's some of his reactions half the time. That's what it is that gets you.
He's just jokes. He's a big chunky man with a little grey beard, and he's bold, and he's just like, mate, you are living it large. Love him. He live streams as well, and it's so sick.
Yeah, it is pretty great.
But he basically recorded a video where he was talking about the iPhones and Apple's newest reveal and stuff, and he was bigging them up, and he's saying that it is really good, and like me and Idris both agreed with all of the points that he was making. It is a really, really good thing. What they've done and what they're managing to achieve is brilliant. The problem is them getting rid of the charger.
Mm-hmm.
So they're giving you a cable, but they're not giving you the brick, and the reason for this is because everyone already has one, but they're trying to save the environment by not producing more. But there is a big but. The problem is every other iPhone up until this point has been a USB, like just a normal USB.
USB-A.
Yeah, and
USB-C.
this one, the cable that they're giving you is USB-C to Lightning, so you can't use it because you don't you haven't been given that plug before by Apple.
Mm-hmm.
So unless you've gone and bought a different phone that uses USB-C and they've given you that kind of power brick, there is no way that you're already going to be in possession of this charger. Like Idris jumped in and was like, don't worry, I've got one, it's fine. I don't have one.
So my argument for it wasn't so much as that. So what I've noticed recently, over the past year or so, is that having a USB-C brick has become more common. I know when I've got... So my MacBook is the 2019 model. Again, that's USB-C to USB-C.
Yes, but... look at the wattage.
Yeah, of course, but
that's the biggest thing.
Leading on from that, my iPad is also USB-C to USB-C.
And USB-A to
I bought my fast charger, which was just a brick, which actually came as USB-C to USB micro, which was quite weird.
Yeah, it was a bit weird.
And then my the wireless charger is also a power brick, which is C to C. And then obviously you've got things like the new Android phones, which are USB-C, Nintendo Switch, it's USB-C. Granted, it's not the brick itself, but as in the port that's being used is USB-C.
It's fine, just plug your phone into a Switch now.
Which is why I kind of don't see that as such a big issue. But I am quite curious about it then, because obviously Curtis said not everyone's necessarily going to have it, which again is understandable. So I do kind of want to see then, like, how common is it? Is it just me that's noticed it often, or is that just because I'm used to buying tech and stuff?
Because the only USB-C power brick I've got is the one for my MacBook.
Right.
But again, I wouldn't plug a phone into that because it's way
not.
too powerful. It's the same as my Switch. Like, I've got the cable that comes with the Switch, but I'd never put my Switch... Oh, so sorry. I'd never put my Switch into the MacBook charger. That's what I was trying to say.
Yeah.
Like, for some reason, the words were just like, is this right? Is this wrong? I don't know.
Yeah, no. Like I said, I've just seemed to have noticed USB-C becoming more common, and I think it's probably just because of the things I've been buying.
Yeah, possibly.
Which is probably why I've noticed it.